Thank you for watching Policy and Prejudice. On January 2nd, 1976, five young men were accused of murdering a man outside of a bar, a well-known bar right off of Fillmore Avenue in Buffalo, New York. 4 of those men did time in prison. Long stretches. Was it over 80 years total?
83 years combined. When
83 years combined. And it wasn't just that they were innocent. The system knew they were innocent. That's the real problem with it. And it's part of Buffalo, New York's problem system. So welcome to Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson, and these are my guests. This is Mr. John Walker.
Correct. How you doing? My name is John Walker.
And this is Darryl Boyd. And it's an honor having both of you here, because I'm going to tell you something. You two have a level of endurance. I don't know if I got it in me to put up with all of that, you know. And it's not just the doing time, but how people are really not trying to make things work for you right now in the present.
Correct. Like you just said, that not only did they make the mistake, but now they're aware of the mistake. Yeah. And once you become aware of your mistake, it's time to correct it. And our problem now is being that, you know, the problem is known, well known, but there's no solutions being given to us. There's, you know, they're not correcting the problem that they made, you know, after we did 80-something years, 83 years. And
here's the thing, I've seen this happen with other cases in Buffalo, okay, especially with Carol Horn case. You saw how backwards that case went, okay? The more obvious that she was right, the more the city converged on her. Okay, and you were there for a lot of it. So you know the deal. Right here, here's the rundown of the names: John Walker, Darryl Boyd, Darryn Gibson, Floyd T. Martin, and Tyrone Woodruff. All of you accused of murdering a man by the name of, I know I got his name somewhere.
William Crawford.
Yes, William Crawford. William Crawford was in this bar. I'm trying to think of the name of the bar. Golden Nugget. A common name. It just disappearing out of my mind. But this guy, you know, he's got a pocket full of money. He's a little inebriated. He needs somebody to walk him across the street, you know, help him get home. Somewhere along the lines, he never made it through that door alive.
Even though somebody volunteered to take him home.
Even though somebody volunteered to take him home. So. And this is during the time, this is heavy snow during that time.
Correct. January the 2nd. It was like the, you know, when the New Year come around, it might fall on the 1st, but Friday don't fall on to the 2nd or whatever. So it was that Friday night of the New Year, so everybody was out celebrating the New Year that night. So it was like kind of real crowded on Fillmore Avenue that night, you know, and it was well lit. If you ever go up and down Fillmore when there's snow out on the ground, you know, it's well lit. So whoever committed that crime couldn't have committed it right out front, because there was people going in and out of the Golden Nugget Inn bar, well lit. They would have been seen. So they did not. What we found out after a while was, after we got done our time and got out, is that whoever did it waited till the man got in the back of his yard, and they approached him from the back of his yard, and that's where the beating took place at, and that's where they murdered Mr. Crawford at. But they said we did it on the sidewalk, 5 of us, which means that there would have been a lot of footprints going up into the yard. They said we beat him on the sidewalk and drug him up into his yard. So you should have seen drag marks up into his yard, blood marks all up in his yard, and you should have seen a lot of footprints. However, the first person that testified in trial, the ambulance driver, the first person on the scene, testified that there was only one set of footprints going up into that yard, and that was the footprint of the victims. Buffalo Police Department found a second set of footprints in the back of the yard that they deemed to be that of the killers. And when they studied this footprint, they found out through the impressions of the snow that whoever done this had to weigh at least 200 pounds. And something I didn't even know that they was capable of doing, but they was able to determine that he had to be at least 6 foot tall. You know, and to this day, neither one of us reach 6 foot tall. Neither one of us have a size 12 foot. You know, and they can determine all these things from that footprint. Couldn't have been our footprint. You know, well, even
by logic, all y'all must have been stepping in each other's footprints then.
all
in unison.
Or rose above it and just walked over it.
Or walked over or levitated over it.
So you would always hear, you hear McLeod always is talk about that there, and you know, he talk about, you know, the fact that it's what's missing that we got to get to, and what's missing is like the footprints. If there's no footprints there, you know, we couldn't have been there. You know, you don't have the murder weapon that you claim we murdered him with. You don't have a wallet that you claim we took from him. You don't have anything that connects us to this crime scene or the murder of William Crawford, except for our friend that, you know, you used your police tactics on him and forced him to say that we did this here along with himself, you know. And since he did this, he's been really like incarcerated in his own mind from doing this to his friends. You know, now you see him today, he's a grown man now. He coming back, he trying to tell everybody what really happened, how they forced him, you know, to do what it is he done to us, you know. And
your friend Woodruff.
Yes.
You know, the thing about, at what point did they arrest you? Between the time this man was murdered, between the time Crawford was murdered and your arrest, what
Crawford was murdered on January the 2nd, 1976. We was all arrested on January the 11th, 1976. So 9 days afterwards.
9 days afterward.
We were actually, but on the 7th, I believe it was, they took us all down for questioning us and let us go.
Yeah.
And then on the 11th, they came back 4 days later, and then they arrested all.
Now, why you? Why y'all?
That's a good question that I've been hearing a lot of theories about, but to be honest and straightforward with you, we was not angels. We would steal cars, we would steal from the stores, we was doing a little 16-year-old thing.
That does not equate to murder.
It really
That's the thing.
But I guess that might have been what put us on their radar to look at. You know, it was that. Some people say that they was looking for a guy that was in the bar that night named Jerome Boyd. We got his, we found that they had mug shots of him, his address. They was investigating him for the murder of William Crawford. But somehow, when they went to Floyd Martin's house looking for us, they asked him his name. His name is Darryl Boyd, close to Jerry Boyd. So somehow they got Darryl Boyd mixed with Jerry Boyd, and they began to investigate. Yo, who you was with the night of this here happened? Well, I was with John Walker here.
Police work.
Very much so.
Okay, and that reminds me of so many run-ins I've had with the police, and I think about this because I could have been y'all on separate cases. Yeah, on separate cases. Okay, I got pulled over one time in Rochester in the town of Veronica, mostly Italian suburb. That cop, and that admittedly my registration was up to date, but they were looking for somebody else. So while he's got me outside, this cop's talking to me. He says, "Are you a light-skinned black man that's under 6 feet?" He was looking at me. I said, "You look." I didn't answer that question. I said, "You looking at me right? You make up your mind."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So what I'm saying.
So I said either these guys are extremely corrupt or they're extremely stupid, or both. Okay, you know. Otherwise, there's just no. I have to assume there's more people named Boyd in Buffalo, so I can't go. But you know what I'm saying.
But to them not doing no police work. In our case, there's a situation where when they found Mr. Crawford dead in his yard, they found a set of keys on his body. On his body, not in his pocket, on his body. So I've investigated further. His wife testified that she didn't allow her husband to have keys because he would go out and get drunk, and she didn't want nobody to take his keys and come in her house at night on her. So she didn't allow her husband to have keys. Her words was, it's her custom to go open the door for her husband. But the same night, the man that volunteered to take him home, the one where the footprints came from his door, he called back to the bar. 4 different people in their testimony said that he lost his keys. He called back to the bar looking for his keys. You found a set of keys on the victim's body. This man lost keys. This the man that volunteered to take him home. This the man that was the last seen with Mr. Crawford alive. You would think he'd be at least a suspect. They didn't even make him a suspect. Actually, what they did was they gave him immunity to testify against us. And that's your killer right there. And that I assure you.
Was this a white guy or a black guy?
Black guy.
They just gave him immunity?
To testify against us because he was involved with the whole, you know, scene when they came. He was the one who walked the man home. He was in the bar drinking with the man, him and his wife that night. You know, so they had him testify against us.
Now, what's this guy's name?
Larry Watson. Lawrence Watson. Yeah. His name is Lawrence Watson. This is the one, and I don't like to point fingers at people, but if I gave you the paperwork that they withheld from us, which we in court for now, and set them in front of you and told you to read them, I guarantee you'll come to the conclusion Larry Watson was the one who killed this man. Everybody who read those papers, they call it P-73s. And what P-73s is, okay, but for your listening audience, in case they don't, in apartment communication, and when a detective go out and investigate a homicide, when he come back to the station house, he have to write out a P-73. In our case, they generated 40 P-73s. However, through our trial, they only gave us access to 7 of them. And the 7 that they gave us is all stamped saying that they gave it to the court. However, after I got out and started getting paperwork, I got the other 33. Now, within the 33, the whole story about what happened is in these 33. But you withheld these from us during our trial. You didn't give these to us. Now I got them, so now this is what we back in court for. You withheld evidence that could have proved our innocence, and you withheld them from us.
So was the DA withhold the evidence?
It's the DA.
Who was the DA at the time? At that time?
Timothy Jury. And now he's a Supreme Court judge. And I believe in my heart that he's trying in a way to right his wrong. He know he did us wrong. He know we got the shaft. And I believe that he's getting older and he don't want that on his heart no more. He's giving indications that he wants to help us. Because let me ask you something. You, the DA, you prosecute us for vicious murder. Because the man was viciously beat.
Right.
Then, after we doing 25, 30 years, you write to our parole board and ask them to let us come home.
Yeah.
No DA is going to ever write to no murder that you convicted the man of murder. You ain't going to never write to his parole board act. Matter of fact, you hope he die in there because he killed that man, you know, the way you think he killed him. So those are indications that he's even trying to come back and trying to, you know, say to us, you got a raw deal. No one's really ever went to him and talk to Judge Jury and ask Judge Jury what's really going on with this case with these guys.
What do you think happened to him to lead to that change of heart? You know what I'm saying?
Age.
Because why was he so strident about convicting you in the first place when there was another warm body there that possibly could have done it?
I believe it was the sensation of it all. 5 young black kids kill white man.
That's great for newspapers.
There you go. And it's good for something else. When newspapers get to putting your name in there for doing things like that, you begin to move up the ladder. And that's what happened. All for us, he began to move up the ladder. Now he's a Supreme Court judge now. And the ones that tried to come back and help us, like say Judge McLeod, who tried to stand up for the truth and say these guys didn't do that, they blackballing him. They won't let him get no higher up than what he is, you know. But if you do people wrong and send to jail for 83 years combined, you get to move up, you know. And now I believe that it's a little heavy on his heart. And I believe that he realizing that he's getting older now. And I don't think he want to go to his grave knowing he did that to us. I just believe that myself, that something is touching him now.
And then also, you know, let's just, I'm going to go back to the question where you were speaking about, that what actually or ultimately led to us or investigation and everything. Actually, it was like allegedly, according to them, a lot of anonymous phone calls, confidential this, and that, and the others. Nothing panned out. Again, at the time of this alleged incident that had occurred, we had on certain clothing items, you know. And at the time of our interrogation, at the time of our arrest, and etc., we had on the same clothes that was described by Mr. Woodruff that we had on the night of this alleged incident. The exact same stuff. Okay? Nothing different whatsoever. Now, no blood found, and our clothes was never confiscated. Not one time. Nothing. No items. No blood is on us. And yet we had this on. He was viciously beaten.
Failure to investigate.
Failure, there he is.
Completely.
Totally.
You know, and I'm sure that the police and detectives of today would not let that go by. Even for their own, just knowing they would not do things so blatantly obvious as it was done in 1976 with us. You know, I do not believe that Buffalo police would do something so ignorant. I mean, no investigation whatsoever.
And then also going at the night of, when they initially come out, the police, the homicide, they goes to Mr. Watson's house. Larry Watson, who was the person who's supposed to have been with him last, everything. They knocks on his door. His wife answers the door, right? This is hours allegedly after this homicide just took place. Yet she says that he's sleeping. And they say, well, we'll come back and talk to him in the morning. Come on.
with saying that if I'm a homicide investigator, they tell you sleep. Nah, you're investigating a homicide. I don't care how sleep you is. If they want to see you that night, they come to see. If you the last person seen alive with this man, I want to see you right now because I want to find out what happened with this man and you was the last one with him.
Because they know you ain't going to be there.
Exactly. You get gone.
No, so they give me some time. I'm leaving town.
Yeah, but if they give me if they give me an indication like, what, they didn't even wake me up to come. Well, I'm gonna stay and try to see if I can, play them out. They don't know what I really did, And apparently that's what he did. He didn't run then. He stayed, and they didn't even figure out that he was the one who did the actual murder. And they even offered him. Same way within like the Lynn DJ case where they gave the guy who actually killed her daughter an immunity to testify against her. So therefore they wasn't able to go back and charge him with that crime because they gave him immunity already. Same thing in our case. They gave him an immunity to testify against us. So now you can't really go back and charge him.
But see, understand, this case right here, this guy had police conviction with the Lynn DJ. What's this guy's name again?
Lawrence Watson.
What did he have going with the police?
He must have been smarter than them. That's the only way I think. There was no cousin, uncles, or nothing like that. Yeah. But he was able to, if I may say, bullshit him. I don't want to, but he was able to bullshit him. And it worked for him.
Yeah. Well, he got free money. He stayed out on the street.
He stayed out on the street. Meanwhile, we spent all of our life, all of our productive years, all of our youth. Can you imagine 16, 17, 18, what everybody else was doing? We was fending off murderers and rapists and robbers, and, we was in jail where it was real at. And if it was something, if we would have participated in any way in the death of Mr. Crawford, then we would deserve to be right where we was at. Right. But when we didn't have nothing to do with it, not even no knowledge of it, and that's kind of like a bitter pill to swallow,
If I'm a police officer, I'm going to be ashamed to put somebody away who I know didn't do it. Seriously, I couldn't live with that. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I remember when I went to your film a few weeks ago, Justice Delayed, and I may have said something about that then. Okay, that's about the second time I had a gun pulled on me with cops. The first time was the pythons, but the second time the police. The second time was the police. Me and a buddy of mine, I had my father's car. My father had a blue Oldsmobile at that time, and we had pulled over in front of a friend of mine's house there right off of Stanton Street, and I forget the other street, right by School 31. And they pulled a gun out on us, and before we know it, was about 10 cop cars, 10 to 15 police cars there. It was getting dark and everything. And they said, we suspect you for robbery. All right? I said, what robbery? He said, well, you robbed the gas station on Fillmore, near Eagle Street, on the corner of Fillmore and Eagle. And they took us there. They actually took us there and they tried to get the guy to point us out. He said, and he looked at it. He said, they took us there, and the dude, the gas station attendant was like Puerto Rican guy, whatever, Hispanic guy. He looks at this is around 1978. Okay, not far after y'all got.
You was in a little trouble then.
Yeah. So they looked at us, and the dude looked right at us, and he was like, "No." That's the only thing that saved us.
If he said, "Yeah," you'd have been in jail.
That would have been it. It would have been nothing nobody could do. We'd have both been locked up. Okay. So I was there. I said, I'm glad this guy is saying no.
But to piggyback off something you said about when your registration wasn't right, there was a time that I had got pulled over. My registration wasn't right, and it was a female white officer, pulled me over, and she was cordial, said your registration is expired, let me get your license. So when I give her my license, she go back to her car, check it, put all my numbers in the computer, and it comes up, lifetime parolee murder. And within no time, I had 9 police cars surrounded me for nothing. I was cordial with her, she was nice with me, but just because she went back and put my numbers in and come up lifetime parolee murder, I got to pay a different price than a normal person that get paid for it. And this constantly happens to me, Anytime I get pulled over and they put my license in, this is what comes up on the screen, a lifetime parolee murder. So if you got a lifetime, if the officers pull over a legitimate person that works and everything, you're going to give them a certain type of respect. But if they pull over a parolee that murdered somebody a little while back, they don't got no real respect for them, and they do what it is they feel, they want to do when they pull us over. Now, I've been lucky, they have done things to me, but never nothing, you know, harshly, real harshly, you know, but the fact that I'm still paying for, you know, something that I didn't do way back in 1976, I'm still paying for it in 2012, I mean, it's hurtful, you know.
Sure.
And the older I get, the less of that type of, you know, action I'm be able to accept. You know, when I get to be older, you know, and can barely walk, whatever, I can't be going through that there. When I have my child, my son with me, you know, he'll see them pull me out the car, put me in the police car, and I, you know, this is the kind of thoughts he have about his father.
Yeah.
You know, it's time for us to, you know, rectify this here, you know.
Yeah.
Time for this to be over with.
I hear you, I hear you.
You know.
Let's talk a little bit about Woodruff, okay? What he must have went through, okay? Which must have sounded good to him at first. But that's a heavy thing to have in your conscience after a while.
I've heard stories of people saying that they seen him down there that night when we was, my sister would tell me that they seen him come out the room while we was in there, and they say he was looking completely white, and Woodruff was a dark black dude, but they say you could see his whole face pale, and he was just so scary and nervous coming out the doors, you know, leaving the police station, I guess, that night. Yeah, he was so nervous and scared
because
he didn't know what to do.
It's one thing getting, you know, being interrogated by police. You hear kids on the street say they tough. No, I remember some dudes. I remember some dudes from South Park. They were talking about, man, I'll take a bid. I don't care. You know, my boys, they won't say nothing on me. They'll do a 30-year bid. I said no, no. First of all, you ain't never been interrogated by the police.
They are professionals.
They are trained to do that.
Yes.
They're trained to do that.
Yes, and you come off the street.
If they tell you your mother's Gladys Knight, your mother just became Gladys Knight.
Before you leave out that room, your mother's glad you're gonna be thinking you one of the pips, because they do that.
Yeah.
And they trained to do that. And you get somebody think you slick coming off the street, especially 16 years old, and you think you real slick, you can handle and know what you're doing. Them professionals down there. And they got Tyrone Woodruff to do what they want. But throughout the trial, throughout all of it, you can see that Tyrone didn't want to do that. They got all of that. Yeah. But you can see that Tyrone didn't want to do that. You can see his hesitancy. You can see that he didn't want to, you know, be in the position that he was in. You know, during trial, he would never look up. You know, he always with his head down. He would never look up at all. Never really answer the question. He was trying to let them know then, look, man, something ain't right here, you know. Yeah. But they had already had in their mind that they was going to get a conviction off of us, and that's what they did, you know. They tried to get all four of us, which would have made it look good, but when McLeod won that last one, now that caused you to think, if all four of these guys committed this crime, why only 3 of them in jail then? Why the 4th one didn't go to jail?
And see, that's the thing, and imagine going through walking down the streets, hearing that for the rest of your life, because that's different. That's different from just with how life was before.
And the last one that won it,
your friends and relatives are like, so what happened? What really happened?
That's what I'm trying to say.
What really happened? What did you say?
That's Floyd Martin.
Why did you say that?
Floyd Martin was the only one that got the acquittal.
Right.
And there's been, I couldn't tell you how many times I had to defend that, no, he did not turn state evidence against us. He did not say nothing wrong. He just won his because we didn't do it. You know, but he constantly had to field questions about that, and people bother him. Oh, you must have told on them guys, or you lie, or whatever. You know, they used to bother him. Yeah. And Tyrone Woodruff even got it worse. So, you know, he even got it real worse.
Oh, yeah.
I have no animosity towards Tyrone Woodruff. In the beginning, when they first did it to us, I was hot and mad about it, you know. But after I began to mature and think about things, it could have, if it wasn't him, it was going to be any one of us that they was going to force to do that to the rest of them, you know. Once they had in their mind that they was going to put it on us, they was going to find a way to do that. And it could have been him. It could have been me, Darryn Gibson. It could have been Floyd. It could have been any one of us. So I don't have no animosity towards Tyrone Woodruff. I feel like he was just as much a victim as we was. Yeah. And that's just all it is.
I feel that same way in regards to that. Why? Because I know basically the tactics that was administered, that they employed. And that helped me get through to able to confront him on opportunities that we had the chance to. When he come back and forth, man. Okay. You know, and I mean, I really felt that. A lot of people be saying, oh, man, I don't find it hard to confront him. No. You got to look at things in totality.
Right.
You know, and that's just the bottom line on it, man.
But anything we have, any kind of events we have, anything where we think we might need him, he's a fly back here or a driver. He's from Atlanta somewhere.
Okay.
You know, he won't tell nobody where he live at, and I really don't want to know, you know. But, you know, I can call him and say something to him, you know, but our relationship ain't, well, you can imagine we don't have a real friendship right now, you know, you can imagine. But I tried to reach out to him every now and then, let him know what's going on with the case, but, you know, to sit down and talk with him, we don't do enough of that, you know. I'd like to really hear how he's feeling and let him know how I'm feeling about what happened to us back then, you know, to try to get it off his mind, because he's going to need some help too in the long run. You know, our help would be being exonerated. I think us being exonerated and the truth coming out, I think that it kind of like let him out of his prison that he's in his own mind, you know.
And then we always try to say, you know, to the point about Woodruff, that, you know, the bottom line is he know all the time we didn't do this, but yet he's coming forward, you know, and it seemed to be hard, the administrative downtown saying, well, you know, this, that, the other, but yet you believed them then. Now, what about now? But they're going, you know, just to sum it all up with, on that right there, man, you know, people can lie. They lie every day, but evidence don't. Evidence speaks the truth, man. And this is what, you know, that they're overlooking. You know, you can overlook our verbal denials and etc. But man, the evidence do not lie. I don't care how you do it, it ain't lying.
I think you said a couple of weeks ago, you guys were saying how even then Woodruff was, during his trial, he was giving hints that he wasn't telling the truth. And people wasn't picking up on it.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's the thing. They didn't want, it's not that they didn't know.
They didn't want it.
They didn't want to hear it.
They didn't want to.
And even to the point where how much of our defense attorneys, how much of the hints did they pick up? And if they picked up something, why didn't you, you know, do something, you know, with it, you know?
So that's the whole story of Buffalo. That's the system. Okay? Right. That's how Buffalo rolls.
Well, we're out to change that
everybody, even people you think that are on your side.
Sometimes they don't be. Depending on their political careers connected to it and all that. Because here, a lot of times, just about all of the politicians that's here, especially our black politicians, they know that we didn't commit this crime. They know that. But yet, they won't get together and come out and say, hey, listen, these guys didn't commit this crime. What we going to do about it? Let's do something. They'll whisper their support to me and say, John, we believe you. No, we don't think you did this here. But I don't need you to whisper it to me. I need you to yell it to the right people that, you know, these guys didn't commit this. Because now it's me and him sitting here. This could very well be your child, whomever child. It could be anybody, you know. And when it become you, you understand me out here asking and pleading for your support and everything, you know, when it's you. But when it ain't you, you know, you go on with your daily life and ignore it. And who knows, one day it might become you. And you might need the assistance that I need today, which is so
well, and here's the funny thing. They'll call y'all when that does happen. Could you please help me with my son, my nephew, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
And that is my intent once we get this done. I do it now and try to help. Sometimes I get letters from guys in prison want me to help them, or guys out here, and I want to help, but it's like I'm at war myself, and all of the bullets I got to use in my war, you know, again, trying to fight my problem, you know, and then once I get through with mine, I want to be able to turn back and help some of these guys out that's claiming that they're innocent, just like I'm claiming it now, and they gave me a platform, like you today giving me a platform to speak about it. I want to be able to give those guys a platform to see if it's true. If you did something wrong, I'm not trying to support it. You do your time. You did it wrong, do your time. But now if you didn't do nothing and you know, let me know that you ain't doing nothing, and I feel that way, I'll go to the bitter end with you, you know.
And it's very interesting you said that about, you know, until it happened to them, here they come. And
that's the mentality.
That's, you know why? Because, you know, I mean, a lot of stuff right now, man, not only our case, but just the blanketed. You know, it's the support is needed by whether you're involved with it or not. It still could, at the end of the day, happen to you. So support that. That way, instead of just coming in and asking for it on the time of this, you know, I mean, where was the support at when it didn't even concern you? You understand? So, I mean, this is when we need the collective body. They collective, look what they're doing to us.
Oh, yeah. They're very
collective. So they're not divided.
It's like Ron Watson said years ago, they were a sports team.
Right.
Okay, he said white people are the greatest away team in the history of sport. And they don't have to know each other.
And they'll come together.
They'll come together. What, y'all said they did it? They did it.
They did it.
Hispanic race like that.
You know,
they're like that.
We not like that. Everybody like that, but us.
We are the only ones like that, and we need it more than anybody else.
Yeah,
or just like them.
Something has to happen where we get it back again. You know, like coming up as kids, we had leaders like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, but today there's really, who do you look at now as a leader to us? You know, there's really nobody. No. We can't even say Obama. He's the president. You know, he's not really our leader. You know, he's not out in the struggle helping us or fighting with us and everything. We don't have one no more. And so we got to begin to find us some leaders, and our people got to begin to follow till we get some positive
We have more
done.
groups today, but they're not as effective as the leaders were yesterday.
Exactly, because they too broke down. There's too many of them.
Right.
Because all those leaders to those things can form a committee where now it's a whole one thing, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But what we're doing now, in regards to our case now, is every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 we holding a prayer service, because prayer is more powerful than everything else. So we do believe that, because that is how I was going to the BLAC, and Darryn Gibson had been hit at 4 parole boards. He was going to his 5th one, but we had got together and we had begun to do prayer service like 2-3 months before his parole, and we would pray and pray and pray. And Darryn didn't make it the first 4 times, but on this time he made it. So that was the power of the prayer right there that got him out. So we figuring that, you know, we're going to go to the Lord one more time and pray some more about this thing getting overturned and us getting, you know, exonerated. So every Saturday morning from 9 to 10, what we doing is we having a prayer service in front of the Golden Nugget Inn. You know, that's where the crime scene happened at. So every, you know, Saturday morning from 9 to 10, we up there and we just give prayer, you know, to try to, you know, get this thing overturned. And also,
do you know anybody in Crawford's family that you talk to? You speak
I got a story about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Wow. You know, then I want to get back and tell you about this rally we had. But one time I was going through the paperwork. This had to be about maybe 5-6 years ago. I was going through the paperwork, and I seen a name Crawford. It was the victim's son, and it had a phone number from 1976 on it. So out of curiosity, I dialed the number, you know. Sure enough, I reached the son's house, but the son had died and the wife was there. She answered the phone. So she began to ask me, what am I, you know, calling for? I was just telling her, you know, basically, I just was going through some old paperwork and, you know, about the death of Mr. Crawford, and that it will be coming across the news again, you know, and I like to reach out with anybody, talk to anybody in his family, you know, so, you know, try to let them know that we didn't commit this crime. She said, okay, I'll talk to the family and get back with you. I said, all right. About an hour later, I got a call from Tonawanda detectives telling me that if I ever dial that number again, they will be there to arrest me. I will be contacting the victim's family, and that I will be in violation of my parole if I ever call that number again. He will be there to give me a charge and arrest me. I said, sir, I was only trying to reach out. I apologize. I'll never call the number again. You don't have to worry about that no more. He said, okay, you don't have to worry about it no more. I said, okay, you have a great day. 2 days later, I go to parole. If you ever dial that number again that you dial, you're going to be getting violated. See, so now they went all the way back to parole just for dialing the number. That's in my paperwork. You know, I just dialed the number, you know, trying to find out some info. That's when I was really like seeking all the information about what happened to me, you know, while I was in jail. Because I didn't know nothing. From all the time we was in jail, we had one whole theory about what really happened to us. And since being out, the theories didn't change. I mean, we got a whole different picture as to what really happened to us. And we didn't know. During trial, I was sitting at the table playing tic-tac-toe while they was discussing my life, because I didn't understand what they was doing. I was 17 years old. I didn't really know what they was doing to me, you know. Playing tic-tac-toe. I know I hadn't done nothing.
You got no power. It's about you. It's all about you.
Can't say nothing.
But you don't even have a right to ask about it.
To say nothing.
And even if it's 20, 30 years later,
you still can't do the talk. You got to find a lawyer.
So what that tells me is that they're saying you starting to find out stuff you ain't supposed to know about.
And that's what
our plans was for you. We had plans for you to do y'all in way back when.
To die in prison.
Yeah. And you're not even supposed to even be of the mindset.
And that's why they anticipated that.
Oh, yeah.
They anticipated that because they didn't expect. And first of all, you look at it like this. If you done done 20, 15, 30 years, 40 years, and get out and still claim your innocence, man, hey, that's worth revisiting.
Yeah.
I mean, because most people finish that up, man, say, I'm home now, and et cetera, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So that's what, but they didn't anticipate that.
Right.
But the exhibits that he said, 40, out of 40, only 7 turned over.
Yeah.
They had no clue, man, back then that we would even survive that situation that they had placed us in.
Right.
And then to survive it and get out and still maintain our innocence and pursue this, they didn't anticipate that. And that's why they did it.
It's convictions based on sloppy police work.
It's clear.
But motivated by racism.
Let me tell you about some racist stuff that you can hook with this. Now, the victim that was killed, elderly 62-year-old William Crawford.
Right.
So they took and had to sit down and say 62 years this man is, and you 3 boys are convicted. So I tell you what, we're gonna give you 25 of this 62. We're gonna give you 20 of the 62, and we're gonna give you how much we got left? Oh, we got 17 left. So we're gonna give you 17. So what they did was they sit there and said the man is 62 years old, so we're going to break his age down to get it y'all in time. That's how much our time add up to when you add up how much we're sentenced to.
Right.
62 years.
Good.
The age of the age of the man.
The age of the man.
So now my reply to that is, since y'all sit there and came up with the age of it, now we're going to sit here and ask y'all that for every year y'all made us spend there, 83 so far, you give us $1 million for every year you made us sit in there. Because if I take you right now, that's fair, right?
That's
$1
fair.
million. Because if I took any one of them right now and said, I'm going to snatch you away from your family, your job, your everything, set you in Attica, and you deal in Attica for 1 year, and I give you $1 million, none of them still wouldn't take it. You got to go to Attica and deal with them big buff dudes that's all weighted out and they trying to take your manhood and everything else you got. You deal with that for a year and I give you $1 million. They wouldn't take it. But you forced that on us. So why don't you give us $1 million for every year you force that on us? And I think that's fair.
The main thing they're trying to avoid.
I know.
Like we were talking before about the Central Park 5 in New York City.
And they delaying it.
Yeah.
So here's what we got. Coming here, we was arrested January the 11th. So on January the 11th, 2013.
10 days after the murder.
After the murder. But we was arrested on the 11th. So January 11th, 2013. 9 days. January 11th, 2013, we trying to get the biggest rally that Buffalo has ever seen. We need to give the biggest rally that Buffalo. That would be exactly 37 years the day of our arrest. And that's the day we choose to give a rally to let the people downtown know that you've had our case now, you've had our motions in there for about, that would be approximately a month and a half that they've been had it from the 2nd all the way to January the 11th.
That was that's motion 41-413, I think it's
that's our indictment number.
The indictment, right.
41-413.
Yeah, I first heard that back in 2007, I think, 2006, 2007.
That's when I began pushing.
Yeah. Yep, I saw that thing with that letter you had on that blog, whatever.
I hadn't been on the blog. I hadn't been enough people. Even the governor know about our case. There was a time when he wasn't the governor. He was whatever he was before that. I can't think of what his position was, Attorney General. Yeah. And they had he came out to do something out of South Park School. So when I seen on the news that that he would be out there, I gathered all of my family together, and what we did was, we went out there with our, sticks and our signs, and we started, protesting right where he was at. So he called us in. He called me in and talked to me. And I explained to him what was going on as Attorney General. He said he would help me. He even assigned one of his people to my case. Right. His name was Carl Boykin, assigned to my case. Nothing ever happened with it, but he was aware of it enough to the point where he assigned one of his men to it. And now that he's the governor now, maybe he might still remember me talking to him that day, or that he signed his man, Carl Boykin, to our case, and maybe it's something he can do to help us if he can hear, when I'm out here talking, if he hear me in some kind of way, maybe.
Did you reach out to Patterson when he was governor?
I did in certain ways, but even though I knew that Patterson they wasn't letting Patterson do much. At the end of his day,
he exonerated John White. You know what I'm saying? And I asked him to do that, and I'm not saying he did because of me. Okay, I know other people asked him as well, but he did. That kind of surprised me. Okay, and he didn't. I don't think White is completely exonerated, but he is free.
See, and that's what they don't do. They don't exonerate him. They just it's another word that they use when they let him out through that way when it goes clemency or pardon. And see, clemency and pardon mean that you out, but we not gonna compensate you for the time we did. We looking for a specific type of exoneration so that we are able to go back and be compensated for the time we did.
Clear.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for, because we completely did nothing to Mr. Crawford, nothing to be in the position that we in right now, And I shouldn't say nothing, but by our acts in other ways might have put us in the limelight for them to come and visit us about this. But we didn't do anything to Mr. Crawford on January the 2nd, 1976, or any other time.
Now, as far as the DA right now, Sedita, and I was hoping Sedita would be a little different from Frank Clark, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, but I guess I think the last I heard of it, and I didn't do a whole lot of detail reading on it, but he wasn't with overturning that when by that deadline at that time. Okay. Your conviction or anything, but I think it's still going to be left up in the air, whatever, until the win.
As far as ours is concerned?
Yeah.
Well, let me go back before we say that then. You said Frank Clark. Frank Clark was not, I never got a chance to basically, and I'm just saying, to dance with him or to be in the court with him about nothing.
Right.
But he told me that, John, look, get your paperwork in the court. He was giving me hints like, all you got to do is get a lawyer and get your paperwork in the court. He's saying, I can't go and open this case up myself. You have to put your paperwork in order for me to do this. But he went on. But with Sedita, what happened with Sedita, now once Frank Clark got out, Sedita and Ken Case was running for the district attorney.
Yeah.
So what happened was, we had a meeting with Ken Case and Sedita with Pastor Prejudice.
Right.
At Pastor Prejudice's church, True Bethel. And they came there because they were seeking the support of Pastor Prejudice, knowing that if Pastor Prejudice give you the support, you're going to get a lot of the black vote, because of his, he got the church and everything. So what Reverend Prejudice did was he told both of them, I won't support neither one of y'all, allowing both of y'all to get the votes however y'all can, if both of y'all promise me that whichever one of y'all win, y'all would look into this case. And me and him was sitting right at the table with him when he made this here thing with him. And they both agreed that, okay, if you just don't, because if Pastor Prejudice support Ken Case, maybe Ken Case might be our DA right now. If Pastor Prejudice supports Sedita, he is the DA right now. But if Pastor Prejudice don't support neither one of y'all, now y'all can get y'all votes in our black community, whichever one they want to go for, you can get. So he backed away and didn't support either of them, saying that, whichever one y'all win, you got to look into this indictment number 41-413. And both of them agreed to do that. So now Sedita won. So Sedita is the one that's going to have to look into this one right now, Even though I've heard other things that Sedita might not be the district attorney for but so much longer. Yeah, through an anonymous source, I hear that Sedita's getting ready to be appointed to Supreme Court judge by the governor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
so
something.
He's getting a statewide position. Well, who would be his most likely replacement?
We have no idea, which is why we don't have no idea why we ain't in court right now. I wanted to be in there. I mean, I don't know. I think Sedita, I think any district attorney that look at our case fairly gonna come to the same conclusion anyways. Yeah. But I would have liked if Sedita had done it. I feel like he was, a man of some integrity, and that he would have looked at our case fairly. And I know if he looked at it fairly, what conclusion he gonna come to, But if he's not there, whoever there, they just got to do this.
Well, see, I mentioned Frank Clark because I've dealt with Frank. I've been in a couple of his meetings. I've been in his office a couple of times. I see how, and with just a Lynn D-Jack thing.
That was a beef there.
Right there. That tells you what he's all about.
Yeah.
And so I said, this guy is corrupt. That's just me saying that, okay? They
all lie.
Yeah, they all lie. But this is blatant corruption, and there are some things that Frank Clark manipulates, and then he will sit there and say he didn't know about it. Okay, I never talked to Sedita or anything. Okay, but I remember, like I told you before, I remember Mayor Sedita and all that. They were part of the system, part of the corrupt Italian, Irish system in Buffalo. Keep things the way they are,
and we keep thinking that people got us in this position. It's not necessarily people; it's the system that the people run that's got us in this position. So what we really out to do is change the system. Yeah. We have to change the whole system in order to change
the system. You got to change to change the system. You got to change the policy. That's the thing. And policy is just a law, whether it's been written or it's just something that's been going on a long time. In this case, it's something that's been going on a long time. Yeah. Okay. The cases like yours have been going on a long time. All right. And people don't question that. This is that's how Buffalo rolls. That's how the city rolls. You know,
so we're gonna bring the light and shine the light on Buffalo and show what's going on here, so that maybe it don't happen to nobody else here, and no other mother don't miss their child. You know, and that really hurt me. You know, it hurt my mother and father. You know, behind this here. I watched it kill my father. Like I tell everybody, my father used to work at a plant with white guys, a lot of white guys. He's, you know, one of the few black guys that worked at the plant.
What plant was that?
And I ended up working there right after him. Out in Tonawanda, next to the damn, it's in Tonawanda. It's not a Chevy, it's a steel plant. I can't think of the name. I can't think. I used to work there, so it'll come to me in a minute. But he used to work there. And they used to tease my father, "Oh, your sons," when they seen my face come across the screen, and you easily can connect it because my name is John Walker Jr. So they know my father named John Walker, so they teasing him, and he should always come back and tell me this. You know, they tease him about it and everything, you know, and it kind of bothered my father. It really did. And then for him to have to come to prison and see me all the time in prison, it really, really hurt him, because me and my father was like as close as a father and son can be. You know, we had that bond with each other, and we kept it even when I got out. But he was older then, and it already, you know, done. The damage was done to him by his son being taken away. It already killed him. And my thing is that now I have a son, John Walker III, and now my concern is, how is it affecting him? You know, when somebody asks him, "Oh, John, well, what did your father do?" Or, "My father's a convicted murderer." You know, or he see me go through all of the things. My parole officer come to the house. He see I'm not acting like the man in the house like I used to be. He sees somebody that's more authority in the house than I am now. You know, these are the little things that I, you know, that my son sees that I don't like, and he shouldn't have to, you know, see me in a position like that where I got to act, you know, like I'm scared, or because I know in my mind that, you know, any little thing, you can send me back to prison for any little thing. So, and my son sees that, and he recognized that. So, you know, it's been bothering me for a long time, you know, and it's affected now going on 3 generations of John Walker. John Walker Sr., John Walker Jr., and John Walker III. It's affecting, and it's really bothering me. I need to stop this now. Time to stop it.
Now, we lost Darryn Gibson some time ago, you know, and here's a guy, he was only free for how long?
8 months.
8 months.
After 33 years of incarceration for something he didn't do.
That is incredible.
8 months.
I feel like he got the worstest, really, of all of us. He did. Because he spent more time in than all of us. And then, out of all of us, every one of us do got a child that, you know, that'll live on. He was not able to get a child or nothing. So it's like he gone, and it's just he gone now. You know, it ain't nobody we can look at and say, "Yo, that's Darryn's little son." You know, he look just like Darryn, don't he? You know, we don't get a chance to say things like that now. And so I feel like he got the worstest out of all of us. He got the worstest end of it. And for him to be the one that died first, you could tell he got the worst. The stress was more on him than anybody else.
Politics is not worth that type of loss of life or loss of freedom. It just isn't. Whatever your ambitions are, whatever you want to do, it just isn't worth it. You know, that's my take on the whole thing.
I believe Tim Jury finding that out now too. That the promotions he got off of our backs, or our doing all that time, it really wasn't worth it now.
No.
You know, you could have did that there just being yourself. And I do believe if we elect the DA, then we elect you to find out who did this, prosecute them, and send them to jail. But during your investigation, if you find out these ain't the ones who did it, you should be just as strong about setting them free as you is about putting somebody in jail. And especially today, that should be in effect. You know, you the DA right now, Sadida. You the DA now. We elected you to be the DA, not to viciously prosecute people, just to put people in jail because you think that's your job. No, you put people in jail that you figure out that done the crime that they done. You can prove that they done the crime, then you put them in jail. But during your investigation, if you run across a case like indictment number 41-413, and you say, "Hey, they didn't do this one," you should be just as hard about freeing them as you is about putting somebody that committed a crime in jail.
But see, look, here's the thing. With the evidence that they came up with you all initially, that was right there. The police evidence that from the initial investigation was enough.
Enough to let us go?
Yeah.
Because there was none.
So what wheels of justice go against that? Who listens to it?
Well, actually, just to throw that in, the Constitution going back to how he says, justice, actually they let justice get out of hand. They misinterpret injustice. They do not go with the Constitution that the free will be I mean, the innocent will be set free and the guilty will be found guilty.
You're writing your own justice at this point.
But again, they go against
writing your own justice.
The laws, the laws do not state that, well, if you're a judge or a doctor or a lawyer, high price, this, that, and the other, you can be set free because you do the same thing as a layman of DWIs, such and such. It don't say who's categorized. It says if person is guilty of this has happened. And they now doing it separated and everything. Justice, you know, they changed it around.
Yeah, in particular, you probably talking about that doctor who just ran over that girl, and he only did one year or so. And somebody that run over somebody, you know, in our particular world, black like us maybe, we going to jail, and rightly so.
But not to interrupt you guys, but tell us about Dr. St. John.
About Dr. St. John, I met Dr. St. John from the BLAC meetings when we used to when we formed the BLAC committee. The Buffalo Local Action Committee it was, and me and Dr. St. John served as chairperson and co-chairperson of the Justice Committee. And we began by doing other people's, you know, problems with justice. You know, we would appear in court with people and do things like that, trying to help people out that felt like they had some injustices in their life. But again, indictment number 41413, our story, started getting a lot of notoriety at the time, and Dr. St. John just kept helping me and to the point where he believed in what it was I was doing, and he kept on helping me. And, you know, he's helped me ever since then. And this happened in 2005, I believe we formed that committee. And since then, he's been like a rock solid supporter of mine. Even though he don't stay here in Buffalo no more, he stays in Chicago, he still comes back just to, you know, help me with whatever it is we doing as far as with 41413.
Well, he put together a good film. That's the film Justice Delayed. It's what, is it, what, 2 parts to that film?
Yeah, Justice Delayed was the first movie. Yeah. And second part of it was Justice Delayed Moving Forward.
Yeah. I saw that thing. I said, oh, my friends are up there on the screen. This is interesting. And I was sitting next to Carol Horn. I said, I got to have your autograph, you know. But everybody was, oh, yeah. That's something to see people you know on the big screen. You know?
And he did pretty good with that, you know.
Yeah.
It allows our story to get more exposure, and that's what the whole deal is. We trying to get as much exposure as we could and bring our case to a high, you know, bring it up to a high profile case, because I noticed that that's the only way they spend time on it. If you got a high profile case, the media all on it. So whatever we can do to keep our case a high profile case, that's what him and I's job is.
Well, tell me, so what do you guys need now regarding this case?
Right now, we need a lot of prayer. That's number one. And if you don't be able to be there on Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 in front of the Gold Nugget Inn to pray with us, then pray separately. Then, if possible, if you can call the district attorney's office and ask him anything about us, ask him, you know, what is he doing about our case, you know, whatever it is you feel about our case, you know, call the district attorney and ask him. And finally, again, I said on January the 11th, that'll be exactly 37 years to the day we was arrested. We're trying to give a rally in front of 25 Delaware from 12 to 1. You know, we just now planning it now, trying to get it all together now, but we're going to need a lot of exposure and a lot of support. So we're going to be trying to do any TV, radio shows we could do to try to get the word out that we want something special this time, because all other times I gave rally, if I had 30 people, I was doing good, but what about 300 people? What about 3,000 people? You know, I know there's a lot of people here in Buffalo that receive a lot of injustices. You know, I know it's a lot of people who believe in us, but do you believe in us into a point to give us an hour of your time on January the 11th in front of 25 Delaware, because that is where him and I will be at. And what we're doing, this is a rally for justice. You know, they have our paperwork in court now. You know, maybe they might be made a decision before then, and there will be no need for the rally. But on January the 11th, that means that they've been had our motion for almost 2 months then, and so far we ain't even got a judge assigned to our case yet, so we don't know what's going on with our case. So by January the 11th, that'll be about 2 months almost that they didn't have our motion, and that'll be too long.
So what specifically is this is this case just about overturning 41413?
The case in particular, the whole situation in particular is about overturning indictment number 41413, but making it so that it'll help others that claim they're innocent. It might create a door that they might be able to go into to prove they're innocent. So what I'm hoping from our being exonerated is that it don't just exonerate us, but that it makes a way to help other people that's in the situation that we're in.
Okay.
And that's what I'm hoping it does.
Hopefully it will happen, because definitely you guys deserve it. You know, and I want to thank you for coming on to the show. You know, and you know, like I said, hopefully in the future soon, especially I can have you guys back on and you know, let people know about what other events or whatever situations you have coming up.
Anytime.
You know.
Appreciate that.
And thank you all for watching Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, PointBlank009, as well as on my blog, thebuffalobullet.com. Have a good week. Peace.
Peace.
Hail to the king, moving forward, for the right to justice, so we keep contesting, stop corruption. Hail to the king, hail to him, rise above, move forward, cause we had enough. On January 2nd, 1976, 4 black youths got caught up in the mix. John Walker, Darryl, Darryn Gibson, Floyd Martin, well arrested for a man missing. 62-year-old white man in Buffalo, killing snow. So you know, cold-blooded murder, so they thought. And they had a high lawyer with no money in their pockets, selling paranoia. With a 62-year combined conviction, 3 fellas other side so consistent. 2 repel him, but the first one to sell him out. Woodruff and to tell him, no doubt, but moving forward for justice, yeah. Moving forward for justice, yeah. Hail to the king, moving forward for the right to justice, so we keep contesting, stop corruption. Hail to the king, hail to him, rise above, move forward, cause we had enough. Hail to the king and lords of law. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lords of law. May he protect us from evil.
This is Cinebeats production. Tomorrow's production available in today's market. Upgrade your sounds today and start making hits.
Hail to the king and lords of law. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lords of law. May he protect us from evil.
This is Cinebeats production.
Hail to the king and lords of law. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lords of law. May he protect us from evil.
This is Cinebeats production.